Hey, this is a video in which I'm going to show you how to make this piece on the boomloom boss. We're going to use your plain weave pattern bar as well as your diamond. So those are the two we're going to use. We're also going to need some warp thread, something strong, relatively thin. There's the thinner rug yarn in your kit, and that can work for these end pieces. And then you guys also have some of the thicker, almost like a roving yarn in your kits that you could use for this center medallion piece. I'm going to use some of this tufting yarn, thicker tufting yarn that I have because I like how that works up, but any of those will do. These are a couple of the needles I'm going to use. And both of these come in the kit if you have that, the beater comb, and I think that's it. Let's get started. We're first going to take our warp yarn and warp up our loom and put in the plain weave pattern bar. Okay, warped, and here comes the plain weave pattern bar. The basic skills for this are covered in the quick version of the getting started video, or you can watch the longer ones. And then this is almost the exact same project as the zigzag make it project, which is the zigzag twill. We're just going to swap out that center section. Instead of the zigzag twill, we're going to use the diamond pattern bar and make a medallion. So if there's anything that seems unclear, you could watch that video to start. It's only 13 minutes long, I think. I should be going over some of all the same skills, but just in case any of them get left out or you want more clarity. Okay, I'm going to try to do this one in a slightly more neutral color palette than my other weavings. Neutral's not entirely my bag, as you might have gathered, but I can hang with neutral. So I'm just going to do a few rows of the thinner yarn to make a border. Remember that you can turn the needle a little bit sideways to help it pass more smoothly through the warp. Okay, now I'm gonna pop out this bar and put in a diamond one. I have this thicker yarn. It doesn't squeeze very easily. I think that's a great characteristic of yarn that will really show off the patterns well. I've got this needle wound with yarn. Well, it's really full. I'm kind of pushing the boundaries on what we can weave with this, but let's try it. So I'm going to start on one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave this to make it look like a medallion in the center. So I'm going to weave rotating in one direction. Actually, I think I'm going to start in reverse to make the pattern do what I want. So it's going to go in reverse all the way up to halfway. And when it gets to halfway, I'm going to start rotating my pattern bar forward. And you'll see the pattern change at that time. So let's see if I've got my directions correctly. The one thing to remember is that this is floating selvage on the end. So you're going to go under it on the way in, over it on the way out of a row. And that happens no matter which way you are entering a row, whether from the left or the right. Okay, so I said I'm going to go backwards, right? Under on the way in, over on the way out. All right, so I'm just going to do that all the way up to about halfway or a little before halfway. Okay, so it looks like I've done 22 rows by my count, and we were going backwards. So now we're going to start rotating the bar forwards. So I'm going to go forward to one. I'm going under on the way in, oops, over on the way out. Still got plenty of yarn on my heddle. And I'm just going to, on my shuttle. And I'm just going to show you that the way this pattern starts to form. So there's our diamond forming. So now I'm just going to do as many rows rotating forward as I did rotating in reverse. And that'll make my medallion. Okay, that's great. It turned out the amount of yarn that I had on that shuttle needle was just about what I needed. So now I'm going to switch back into the plain weave and put some more of this yarn, I think, on a regular needle. So when you're switching back on at this point, it can be a little more fiddly. I think I've talked about this in a previous video, but I generally kind of start at one end and hold it there and then kind of push it up against the threads while I'm pulling it over this way, the warp, and then kind of fitting it into all the slots. And I think I also said this in the other video, but definitely there's been times where I just put it in and the threads are kind of in the wrong place, and then I use a crochet needle or my fingers and kind of pull them into the right spots. Okay. Okay, so that looks about balanced. I think I did 7 or 8 down here, and I did about 7 or 8 up here. Again, you can count, but I also want to encourage you to just trust your eyeballs. Then next steps are to weave in my ends. You can do that before you take it off the loom if you want, or after. And then I think I'm going to use the rest of this yarn on a thinner needle and do the half hitch finishing, which is in the other, that's in the 12 video, the zigzag 12 video, and also in the finishing video. But that looks pretty great, and it really didn't take me very long. So thanks for watching, and I'll post some more how-to shortly.